Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel Cholas, where I learn all things Bharat with your help, and I just share my Slovak Central European point of view. And in today's video we are going to look at Chola Dynasty, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So it is going to be from TRS Clips, Ranveer show, and I know you guys wanted me to do more of him, so I am excited to look into this video with you. But before we look into the video together,
please like this video and click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for your support.
Okay, so I just say, let's get started.
Sometimes I think we get carried away by our history. So we keep talking about Cholas, Chola Empire, the greatest empire in the south, and all that. But there are a lot of commonalities between all empires that way.
Okay.
So when you go into the Chola Empire, you can see that it is, for the first time, a very large empire in the sense that it is comparable to some of these North Indian empires.
Sure.
Like the Gupta Empire. The Mauryan Empire was very huge, cannot compare with it, but somewhere there. At that time, it is believed to be one among the top 10 empires in the world or something like that.
Okay. Before we get into the actual story of it and the origins of it, why don't you draw out a picture of what it was at its peak? Because the general narrative is that it was spread all across Asia as well. Indonesia, it went up to the Philippines. From India to the Philippines. That's insane. Is that the peak of the Chola Empire?
Yeah, I would say so. The peak was somewhere in the 11th century. Okay,
Right.
That is when it reached the peak. But when it comes to the Chola history, there are two histories. There were the earlier Cholas, okay, which you hear about in the Sangam literature, the Sangam period, they call it. And supposed to be three Sangams. The first Sangam was way, way back, they say thousands of years back, but there's no record of it. So when it comes to history, you have to go by records. So in that way, the third Sangam is when you get all this Sangam literature, the poems, the epics, and so on.
What happened in Sangam 1 and 2?
Sangam 1 and 2, nobody knows what happened. All that you know is that they all happened in Madurai. Okay, that was the capital city of the Pandyas.
All right.
And at that period, there were three kingdoms, you can say. They were not yet empires. There were this Cholas, there were this Pandyas, and then there were this Cheras. Okay, the Chera is more the Kerala side. The Pandyas south of Madurai,
Okay.
and around Madurai. And the Cholas were around the middle of what is Tamil Nadu now.
Which is modern day what?
The modern day Tanjavur, the Kaveri River,
Right.
on either side of that.
Right.
And the right stretching up to the north. But in those times, in the Sangam period, again, little bit I'll come to what is the period that we call Sangam period. Some people say that it started at 500 BCE, 500 years before the Common Era.
Right.
Some say no, it's a bit later, but there's a lot of digging going on in Tamil Nadu, and every time they dig, they keep saying that, the dates have to be even pushed even earlier.
Yeah.
Because they're getting all kinds of potsherds and bronze, metal sculpture and things like that. So all this put together, it keeps pushing the dates back a bit.
Yeah.
And it is almost like coming to the dates of the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, which is supposed to have taken place in the beginning of the first millennium before the Common Era.
Okay.
That is somewhere, 100 BC or 200 BCE. So it's slowly getting pushed back for quite, I think it is more or less amounting to that, in the sense that there is some continuity between all the civilizations in India from the north to the south. Because even at that time, there was a lot of migration, a lot of trade, a lot of interaction between various peoples. So one can believe that 500 BC is not a bad date for the earlier Cholas. Okay. And that is the time when they created all this Sangam literature, the poems, that this and all that. Madurai was the capital of the Sangam, what is called that conference. It is Sangam is a gathering of scholars. Sangam literature is very popular,
Right.
and after that there was one big gap. There came some poetry, epics, and all that, but somewhere from the 3rd century to the 6th century, nobody knows what happened, or very little history is there. They are still trying to reconstruct something. It is called the Calabra period. In Tamil we say Kalapirar.
Kalapiral.
And Kalapirar. Okay.
Pirar.
Pirar. So they set up a kingdom.
Okay.
Some say it is a Buddhist kingdom. Some say it is a Jain kingdom. So there is a lot of that is supposed to be a black period, but black for whom? I don't believe that it is really a black period. Maybe for the anti-Buddhist, it could have been a black period.
In Sangam literature, they describe a dark age.
No, this is after Sangam literature.
Okay.
Sangam literature stopped somewhere, let us say, the 2nd or 3rd century of the Common Era.
All right.
And from the 3rd century to the 6th century, there is a black spot, a black hole.
Game of Thrones is going on.
Something is going on.
Some war.
War, and everybody reports it as they don't know what's happened. It's a kind of a black period.
Okay.
But it doesn't appear so, because literature was kept developing.
Okay.
And the Buddhists and Jains were taking a lot of interest in that region, because Buddhism, when it started spreading, and Jainism, when they started migrating to the south, because in the north they were sort of losing popularity. Okay. So they started migrating to the south, and a lot of influence was there at that time in Tamil Nadu. Unbelievable. Okay. Today you cannot see that kind of influence, but there were hundreds of Buddhist monasteries. There were hundreds of Jaina, what they call the Sangams and the temples. Okay. So at that period in time, something happened. Then the 6th century starts. Okay. From the 6th century, again, there is a kind of a revival. Everything, all these earlier Pandyas, Cheras, Cholas and all disappeared, during that period. Okay, they all got scattered. Some went to Andhra, some went to Kerala and all that. They got scattered. So when it came to the 6th century, the Pallavas from the north, they originally came from the Telugu belt. They came down to the south, and around near Chennai and what is called Kanchipuram now, they set up their empire. That was their capital. Okay. It was basically North Tamil Nadu. They set up their capital, became very powerful, and then slowly grabbed quite a bit of land as they advanced to the south. So at that point in time, they were the most powerful.
Okay. Do you not want to talk at all about the Pandyas or
the Cheras?
Cheras?
Yeah.
Who were these people? Like, these were just kingdoms that sprouted up?
They were just kingdoms. And because at that period in time, when you look at 500 years before the Common Era, everywhere in India, you can see kingdoms are sprouting,
Okay.
There, from the tribal period, there was a bit more organization. States were coming up. An army was there, But it was still a kingdom in the sense that they were not the state was not that powerful. It didn't have a military going everywhere.
So is it fair to say that when the transition of humans happened from tribes to actual townships,
right?
The Pandyas, the Cheras, and even the Cholas
set up these kingdoms.
Okay.
So they must have come from the tribals anyway. So earlier there must have been a lot of tribal chieftains and all that. And at one point in time, they became Pandyas, Cheras, and Cholas.
I think they were probably the most powerful tribes.
Yes. Very much.
Must have been many more tribes, but these were the three that really broke out. Then there was a dark period where no one really knows what happened.
Till about the 6th century.
Okay.
And all these three kingdoms had vanished. Okay. And a new kingdom came up called the Pallavas, who were not there earlier.
Okay.
And that period belonged to them. That, from the 6th century to the 9th century, literally, They were dominating Tamil Nadu. And all these Cholas, Pandyas, Cheras were there, but scattered. They had some regional kind of satraps.
Okay.
They were trying to gather around, but basically they were sort of sub or, supporters of Pallavas this way and that way.
Weakened. They were very weak.
They were very weak. And the Pallavas used them. Sometimes the Pandyas sided with them, the Cholas sided some other time. So the Pallavas were the dominant force. They even went up to Lanka and briefly conquered the northern part of Lanka. So they were the dominant force at that period in time.
Okay, wow, what an interesting video. I know I have done Gupta Empire. I can link it here for you to watch. This is very fascinating. I think that the most fascinating part for me personally is that he's trying to date this dynasty to the times of Mahabharata and Ramayana, which is to me really fascinating. And I think what does not stop to amaze me and what was going through my head all the time, like, obviously we don't really like being taught as a story here. I think it's just perhaps because it's also local history, but wow, there is just so much to know. I wish I was an archaeologist in India. I think that must be an amazing job to go through that. Like, it feels like in my head, Mayas, Incas, and all that, like from before, very. Chola Empire seemed like Gupta Empire from what he had said, but what I did not quite track was something called, I was trying to Google it as I was watching, Sangam literature, which says that it's earliest available Tamil literature, and Sangam period. If you would be able to let me know what it actually really means in the comments, that would be awesome, because it says Sangam age is roughly extends between 300 BC to 300 AD. And then Sangam literally means association, which really throws me off as to why would it be called Sangam. I think because it's just the Tamil, but you guys that you are Tamilian, if I'm pronouncing that, or trying to, use the word in a weird way correctly, do let me know what that means and what's the significance. And because he told about is like more like an era, so Samgan 1 to Samgan 3, and it's been fascinating for me. And I was wondering what that actually really means in the comments below. Overall, really interesting, really fascinating. The reference to Mahabharata Ramayana, if you know maybe kind of latest research or articles that are obviously available in English, I would love to have a read, so let me know in the comments below. And I think with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did like it, please give thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, please do take care. I'm sending much love. Bye-bye.